of Selenium Training. So today, as you can see that I have prepared a checklist which we will be actually discussing the course contents of our online class. You can just have a look over here. Okay, on the first day, we will be just discussing the basics only, basics of the Selenium, like what is Selenium, how it is evolved and all. Okay, and we'll just tell you how can you install Visual Studio, and we will see a basic program on Visual Studio. Okay, and as we go with our course, you can just see that on the first 3 days we will be just discussing the basics only, the concept of the OOPS. Okay, and then on the fourth day we will be starting with the Selenium concepts. Okay, we'll start with the Selenium basics, and then like everything, each and every component, how can you handle the drop down, the alert management, pop-up handling, web tables, all the topics will be discussed in the class. Okay, and then we will also discuss how can we manage, how can we work with the Excel file. For that, we actually require the endpoint API. So we'll discuss this as well, and then after that comes the end unit, the testing framework in the C# in Visual Studio. That is your end unit. So we'll discuss briefly about the end unit as well, and what all annotations, assertions are there in end unit. We'll be discussing after that. Okay, and then yes, I'll be giving you some exercises as well to, and then we will discuss those exercises also, so just practice those exercises. Okay, and then after this whole is done, the basic concepts of the Selenium and end unit and all is done, we will then also cover one framework as well in our online class. Okay, the framework can be either page object model, hybrid framework, or the data driven framework. So from these three frameworks, we'll be discussing one framework in our online class. Okay, so these are the course contents. You can just have a look at it, and I'll just share with you the link as well. You can just go through this documentation. Okay, now let us start with the topics. Now before I go with the topics, before I actually start with my class, let me just discuss some of the questions, some of the FAQs which people generally ask. Okay, that is what all will be taught in the course. So as we have discussed that we will also learn C# as well, and simultaneously we will be implementing the concepts in Selenium. Okay, so C# and Selenium both will go side by side. Okay, so in Selenium we will be discussing the WebDriver, and then we will be covering the frameworks as well, and C# also will be learning the syntax of the C# language. Everything we'll discuss in that class. Okay, then will I get access to the videos? Yes, you will get access to the videos. Okay, and do you record current sessions? Yes, I am recording my current session, and everybody after the class will be getting the recorded videos as well. Okay, now the next question is, C# required if I don't know programming? Well, the answer to this question, you can say, is yes. Yes, like any programming language, like the programming languages are different, no doubt programming languages are different, the syntax is different for all the programming languages, but the concept remains same. If you are working in C# or if you are working in Java or PHP, the concept remains same to print the even numbers, right? The syntax only varies. So I must say that if you have to learn Selenium, if you want to learn Selenium, you must have the knowledge of any programming language, whether it is C#, whether it is Java, or any programming language. Okay, so C#, if you want to learn Selenium with C#, so for that you must have the knowledge of C#. And if you don't know C#, then also it doesn't matter. We'll discuss everything. Okay, we'll discuss the C# concepts as well. We'll be discussing that only in the beginning classes, and then we will go with the Selenium concepts. Okay, and then the next question is, I need help in my project. Will you help? Yes, we will help you out in your projects as well. We have a support team also over here who will be helping you out, and I'll be also reverting you. You can just message me, email me. I'll share with you my email ID as well. Okay, then what all do you cover? As we have seen, these are the course contents that we will be actually taking up in our online class, that you can just go through, and we'll be discussing all these topics. Then what will be the duration of our online class? Well, Since it's a weekday training, so it would take like in order to complete these all topics, it will take around 25 to 30 days. Okay, 25 to 30 days. That is 25 to 30 hours. All right. Could you also provide some kind of a live project? Yes, we can give you, and the framework which I'll be discussing in my class, that will be a live project only. Okay, live website only. I'll be taking up in my online class. Fine. Yes, Yogi, please mute your microphone. Yogi, can you hear me? Please mute your microphone. Okay, so let me then start with my, yes, anybody before I start with my class, anything, any other question you want to ask? Yes, anyone? Okay, okay, Manu. Yes, Yogi, please mute your microphone. Can you hear me? Please mute your microphone. Yes, Yogi, I am. Yes, I forgot to tell you, we will be discussing the grid as well, and Jenkins also we will be taking up in our online class. Okay, and then there is no Maven in C sharp. Okay, there is no Maven in C sharp. Uh, when you join the meeting, you have like you can see a microphone icon beside you. Just click on that and it will be unmuted. Yes, I think now it's done. Yeah, okay. All right. So, and yes, this is, I'll just share with you the link to join the, sorry, to just have the access to this documentation. So here is the link and I'll just share with you on the chat. Okay, so just go through this link to access this documentation. Fine. So let me then start with my first day, the course contents, the topics that I'll be taking up in my class. Okay, so what I do is, hold on. Okay, now coming over to brief history of Selenium. What is Selenium and how it evolved and where it is going right now? Okay, let's discuss that. Now, since I am discussing about Selenium, so Selenium basically has these three components with it. Okay, there are three components of Selenium. That is, we have three components. The first component is RC, Selenium RC. Then we have Selenium IDE, and then there is something known as Selenium Grid. So these are the three components of Selenium. Okay, and yes, we know that Selenium is a web-based automation tool. This tool is only used for testing the web applications. It is not used for testing the desktop-based applications. Okay, and it has got primarily three components: RC, IDE, and Grid. All right, and in this part, I'll be telling you the components. I'll be just discussing all these components one by one. Okay, so now coming over, let's say first of all discuss what is Selenium IDE. Now, a Selenium IDE is not a very useful tool. It is primarily a record and run tool. A record and a run tool. Now, every tool, like you can say that record and run feature is there on every automation tool. But record and run feature is not successful these days because websites these days are dynamically changing. Like say for example, if you record a website today, for example, say you take the example of the timesofindia.com. Okay, if you record the website timesofindia.com, that wouldn't run tomorrow because you have recorded the components of the website which are constantly changing every day. The complete Times of India website changes every day because the news changes. Similarly, if you take the example of any sports website or any other news website, these websites are dynamic. right? So the content changes every day, every minute the content changes. So we cannot just record and run those websites. Okay, and IDE is used to automate those websites. It's a record and run tool only. And moreover, secondly, IDE, it is like it only works on the Firefox browser only. It only runs on the Mozilla browser. It doesn't work with any other browser. All right. And then in IDE, you cannot generate the reports. Reports are not generated with the help of IDE. Neither the accessibility reports nor the extent reports or any other reports. You cannot generate reports with IDE. Okay, and then you can just say that if you want to use IDE, it can only be used for very small scale applications like a website of say 1 to 2 pages if you want to test. But if you have a large scale project, then just don't waste a time learning IDE and implementing with it. Okay, so IDE is used to automate small scale applications only. So this is IDE. And then if we discuss RC, and then there's another component known as the RC. Now RC, it can work, it supports all the browsers. It supports all the browsers, Mozilla, Chrome, IE, it supports all the browsers. All right, and then yes, reports are also generated. You can also generate reports with RC. This can also be done with RC, and moreover, for RC, you must have the knowledge of any programming language. Okay, the knowledge of any programming language is must if you want to work with RC. But in RC, there used to be a drawback. Okay, there used to be a drawback with RC, that is in order to learn, like in order to start, there used to be a RC server. There used to be a RC server which never used to start up directly. I like it has to be the person has to log in and log off the server again and again. It never used to start directly. Okay, so this was generally the limitation of RC. According like in order to overcome the limitation of RC, another component came into the market known as the WebDriver. WebDriver 2. All right, WebDriver 2 came into the market. Now, WebDriver 2 also supports all the browsers. All the browsers are supported for the WebDriver. Okay, and then reports are also generated in WebDriver as well. And then for WebDriver 2 also, you must have the knowledge of the programming language. For this also, all the features are same as of the RC. Okay, but it's just that in RC there used to be a separate server which never used to start up directly. So in order to overcome that, another component, WebDriver, came into the market, which has all the features of the RC, plus its additional features are also there, which we will actually discuss in our online class. So we will be discussing the WebDriver, which is currently more in demand in the current market. All right, so WebDriver is used, and then now the WebDriver has been changed, has been updated to WebDriver 3. Okay, so WebDriver 3 has now come up in the market. It has been updated to WebDriver 3, and then IDE is still there. IDE is still used by some for some small scale projects. Okay, and then yes, there is one more component, grid. Now grid, what is grid is, grid is something which will help you run your test cases parallelly. All right, which will help you run your test cases parallelly. For example, you have got 100 test cases with you and you want to run these test cases parallelly on 3 machines. One machine will run the test case on the IE browser, another machine will run it on the Mozilla, and third on the Chrome browser. So what we do is, so you want to distribute your test cases on 3 different machines. That is IE on the first machine, okay, and Chrome on the second, and like this. So what we do integrate, what is actually there is, we have a central hub with us. This is known as your hub, central machine with us, known as the hub, and to this hub you can connect multiple PCs to it, multiple You can connect multiple nodes to it. By nodes, I mean multiple PCs. Okay, so this is basically the grid. So how grid is helpful? Grid is helpful in the sense that it saves your time and you can run your test cases parallelly with the help of a grid. All right. So the WebDriver script. So like say if we want to execute our test cases with grid, I want to run my test cases parallelly, right? So I'll be sending my WebDriver script parallelly to the hub, and then hub will be distributing the test cases to each and every node. So this helps you in the parallel execution of your test cases. Okay. So grid helps you in the parallel execution of your test cases, and moreover it saves your time since multiple test cases are running at the same time parallelly. All right, and you can test your application across multiple browsers and different operating system as well, because when we are running parallelly, you can have Windows operating system, or you can either have Linux operating system or a Mac operating system. So you can execute your test case on multiple operating system, or on multiple and on multiple browsers as well. It all depends on your configuration, how you configure your grid. And then we will also discuss the grid implementation as well in our class. All right, so this is it, and grid has been changed to a grid 3. Okay, so previous version of grid was grid 2, and then now it has been changed to a grid 3. So grid 3 also uses the WebDriver components as well. Okay, WebDriver features also supporting all the features of the WebDriver, plus the main concept of the grid, that is parallel execution. This is also there in the grid 3, and more and many more functions which we will discuss. Okay, so this is all about Selenium. This complete thing is all about Selenium. Okay, and in the class we will be taking up the WebDriver only. Okay, so the main focus in our online class will be on the WebDriver. Okay, and moreover we will also discuss the C sharp concepts as well. Okay, we will also discuss the C sharp, and then we'll also see how can we generate the reports, the XSLT reports as well as the extent reports. Both the reports we will be taking up in the class. Then we'll also cover the grid as we'll also cover the grid as well. Then we will also take up the Jenkins also in our class. Okay, and in the end we will be taking up one framework as well in the online class, and all these concepts, grid, Jenkins and all, everything we will be implementing in our framework. All right, so we will be discussing all these topics. What is the difference between WebDriver 2 and WebDriver 3? There is no difference in the WebDriver 2 and WebDriver 3. You can say that it's same. It's only about the version. WebDriver 2 and WebDriver 3. The version of the WebDriver. By 2 and 3, I mean the version. Okay, previously WebDriver 2 was in the, and then now WebDriver 3 has come up in the market. The version of the WebDriver has been updated, and in the class we will be discussing, we will be working with the latest version of the WebDriver only, WebDriver 3. There is no difference between the two, WebDriver 2 and WebDriver 3. It's one and the same thing. Okay, all right, Samran. Yes, any other question you want to ask, any one of you? Any other topic you think is not covered in this documentation and you want to cover in the class? Okay. And yes, everybody, have you installed Visual Studio on your system? Okay. And Yogi, you? So then I need not to tell you. Okay, let me just tell you. So if you have to install Visual Studio, you can just install it from the visualstudio.com website. You go to visualstudio.com, and out here you go to the download section, and over from here you can just download the Visual Studio version. And if you like, Visual Studio community version is free. Okay, so you can just download the community version of Visual Studio. Visual Studio 2000, Visual Studio community version is free. Okay, it's fully featured IDE for students. Like, it is free. You need not to pay anything, or it's not like that professional and enterprise version. These all, for that they have some free trial. Okay, like, first of all you'll get the free access. Then after that you'll have to get the license for this Visual Studio professional or enterprise version. But community version is free. Okay, so you can just install it from here. Fine. And then uh, let's discuss the Visual Studio. Okay, so what I do is, like, I have already installed Visual Studio on my system, Visual Studio 2017. So this is your first page, the launch page of the Visual Studio, the start page. And if you want to create a new project in the Visual Studio, you go to File menu, New, and then we say Project. And before actually I start with my Visual Studio, I just want to know, like, I assume that everybody knows the basic concepts of the programming language. That is, I mean to say, for example, what are loops, okay, and the statements, the if else statements, right? And then how to declare the variables, the what you mean by class and objects and all, everything. I assume that everybody knows the basics of the programming. We will discuss these concepts in the class as well, but we cannot go into depth in for all these topics. Right. So I assume that you know all these. Okay. And how do you declare a function? Okay, so that is also one more property. How do you declare a function? So I assume that you know everything. All right, so let me just start with my Visual Studio. So I have my Visual Studio. I'm trying to create a new project. Okay, so in this new project dialog window, a list comes up that which type of a project you want to create. Either you want to create a blank application or a console application, okay, or a class library project, Windows application. So according to your requirement, you can just create any type of project you want to create. But in our class, and mostly console application and class library projects are only used. You can just go with these two types of projects only. Okay, so we will be discussing both these projects, both these type of projects, console application and the class library project. Okay, so let me create a new console application project, and then we'll just tell you how it is, like, what is the difference between the two types of projects, and what we will be actually doing in these projects. Okay, so let's say I have first day. Okay, and I'll just save in my location. Okay, so this is your first day console application project that we have created. Okay, and in the solution explorer, the project is listed. Okay, fine. Now, as you can see that in the first day project, we have four folders coming up, four files coming up over here. Now, what are these four files? Now, the first file is your properties folder, which contains the assemblyinfo.cs class file. This is your class file, and this class file, it just contains the Visual Studio configuration only. We need not to work. We are not working with this class file, so we will not discuss much about this class file. It's just the configuration of the Visual Studio. Okay, and then we will not be making any changes. We will not be doing anything with this class file. So we'll leave it as it is. It's just the configuration details of the Visual Studio only. Okay, the Visual Studio project, the first day project. And then comes your references folder. So references folder, just hold on for some seconds, and then I'll discuss this references folder as well. And then we have this app.config file. Now this is your configuration file in which you can keep your configuration settings. Now the concept of this configuration file will actually come when we will discuss the framework in our class. Okay, so when we'll work with the framework, then the concept of this configuration file, the main use of this configuration file will be clear to you later on. As of now, I'll just say that in the configuration file we keep the configuration settings of our project. Okay, and by default, as you can see, it says it just contains the .NET framework version. Which framework version we have? Like, since I'm using Visual Studio 2017, so version is 4.6.1. All right. So by default, it just contains the version, the .NET framework version inside the configuration file. And then we have this class file. So program.cs, this is the by default class file which is present in a console application. All right, which contains your main function. Now main function, as we all know, that it is the main point of execution. Right, in the main function only we actually write our code, and that is only executed. So main function is your from where the execution actually starts. Okay, and in the console application we have this program.cs class file which contains the main function by default. Okay, and then what is this static keyword, what is this void, what is class, what is namespace? Don't worry about it, we will discuss each and everything as we go with our course. We'll discuss everything as we proceed with our course. All right, and then I am assuming that you know how to declare the variables, right? How do we declare variables in any programming language? Like, you have to first of all give the data type of the variable. Say for example, I have to declare an integer variable, int I. Int I is equal to, say, 10. Okay, so this is my data type. This is my data type, and this is my variable, which is of the type integer, and I have assigned a value 10 to it. Okay, similarly, if I have to declare a string variable, so I say string x is equal to some text I write in the double quotes. Okay, and then if you want to print something in C#, in Java we write system.out.println. Right, similarly in C#, in order to print any statement, for that we write console.writeLine. We write console.writeLine, and inside it you give your text which you want to write in the which you want to display. Okay, so I say welcome to Selenium Training. Welcome to Selenium Training in like, you write it in the console.writeLine. Okay, and then now if I want to see the result, I want to see the output of my program, then for that, out here you can see this start button. You click on this start button. Okay, and then the console output window did come up. We saw the black window coming up, but it then vanished away as well, so very fast. Now, right, now why this is so? It is because, just hold on. Now I'll write one more statement, console.read key. Just a second, I'll write console.read key and I execute my code again, and then now you can see your console output window. It is still, it has not gone, it has not vanished away. Okay, now why this is so? It is because we have written one more statement, console.read key. So console.read key, it frees your screen. It frees your output screen till the time you don't close it from your end. It will not be closed. It will be like staying on the screen. We can see the result, the text welcome to Selenium Training in the console output window. Okay, so console.read key is used to read the output. It freezes the screen till the time you don't close it by your end. Okay, so this is the console.read key, and then one more thing, like for console.writeline, the shortcut for it is you write CW and then hit double tab key. Hit double tab key and console.writeline. It is like it will come up. Okay, so this is the shortcut for it. Fine, and okay, this is what it is. Fine. Now, okay, now coming to this references folder. Now inside this references folder, what is there? This references folder is actually containing some DLL files. Now what do you mean by DLL file? Now in practical world, what happens is, what developers do is, they put all the classes, in a single file, in a single file known as your DLL file. Okay, now what do you mean by a DLL file? In the references folder, we can say that these are all our DLL files. We have many DLL files. For example, C Sharp is the collection of DLL files. We have many inbuilt classes that we are actually using, right? Say for example, out here I have this using system is one of the class, okay, whose reference you have added in your references folder, system namespace, system class. Okay, now say for example, if I say comment this line, if I say if I comment this line, then you see that the errors start coming below this console keyword. So that means that for in order to execute, in order to run your program, your Visual Studio, your C Sharp program, these DLL files are important. Okay, you are saying that I am not using my system. I have added the reference of my system. System class file is added in the references folder, but you have not imported the namespace for it using system in a particular program, in a particular class file, program.cs class file. Okay, so then it gives you the error that if you see that the name console does not exist in the current context, since it is actually present in the system class which you are not using in your class file. So that is why it gives you the exception. So these class files are actually important. Okay, by default, these are the DLL files that are present in the in a default program, in a by default program that we create. Okay, and then we also add some more DLL files. Like say for example, when we will work with the Selenium, then we will have to add the DLLs for Selenium first. Then only we can use the Selenium classes in our program. Similarly, if you have to work with the extent reports, or if you have to work with the Excel file, then for all the extra things, for all these things, we have to first of all add the DLL files. Then only we can work with those concepts. Okay, so this is it. And then say for example, I want to print the current date and time. So for that, I have DateTime class with me, DateTime.now. Okay, and then now if I run my code, you see that it prints the current date and time over here, 9th November 2017, and the time. All right, so date time, and then now say for example, I comment this using system. So then you see that the error starts coming below this DateTime class as well. So DateTime class is also present in the system namespace, in the system DLL file. Now I haven't written the code. Hold on. Now I haven't written the code to print the current date and time. I haven't written the logic. I'm just using the classes, the inbuilt classes which are present in C Sharp. So DateTime class is an inbuilt class in this system namespace, in this system DLL file, in this system class. Right. I haven't written the code to print the current date and time. I'm just calling the system. I'm just using the DateTime class, and then we can see the result. So with these classes, with these namespace, you can say that it contains the inbuilt classes inside it, which we actually use in our program, and same goes with the Selenium as well. If you want to work with the Selenium, we'll just add the reference of the Selenium DLLs in our project, and then we'll call the respective classes, the classes which are present in the Selenium DLL file. Okay, so this is what is the concept of the DLL file. Now, say for example, when I compile my code. Now, how do you compile your solution? You go to the build menu, then over here you have your build solution. Okay, I click on build solution and it says that the build is succeeded. Now, when you compile your console application, the exe file of the project is generated. Say for example, I'll show you. I'll open my project in the file explorer. I go to bin folder, I go to debug folder, and then you can see your .exe file. Okay, fine. Now there are two types. I told you we have two types of projects: console application and the class library project. Okay, and then there are two types of assemblies also that are generated. Now when you compile your console application, you get the exe file. Okay, you get the exe file, and similarly when we compile a class library, we will get some another file extension which I'll just show you. Okay, now say for example, I have this console application. See, I close it. Okay, and .exe, the compiled file is the first day.exe file, which is generated for the console application. Now, when I double click on this exe file, we can see the execution. We can see the result. Whatever we have implemented in the console application, we can just see the result by just double clicking on the exe file. So exe files you can say are executable files, the files that can be executed. Since now why these files are known as executable files, why we can see the result in the exe files, it is because in the console application project, we have the main function inside it, and I told you main function is the main function which actually which is the entry point of the execution. The execution starts from this main function only. We all know, I think, right? So that is why these files are executable files. You can just execute by just double clicking on the exe file. Similarly, say for example, I'll now create, say I add a class library project. Okay, I'll just add a class library project. Okay, now class library project, it has three files inside it: properties file, again assembly info.cs class file, the Visual Studio configuration, then the references folder. For this also goes the same. It also requires the basic DLL files. These are the by default DLL files that come up. Okay, and then we have one class file, a normal class file, class1.cs, which does not contain the main function inside it. It does not contain the main function. Okay, and then all right. So now when I say compile my solution, when I say compile my class library project, the build is succeeded. Okay, and then now if I go to my project, I go to bin folder, I go to debug folder, then you see that for the class library project, DLL file is created. So the second type of assembly, the file which is actually generated when you compile your solution, is the DLL file. Okay, now DLL files are not executed. Why? It is because it does not contain the main function. How will you execute? What will you execute? In the main function only we can execute something. We can just try to try to print something, or any operation we want to do. We can do the stuff in the main function. But since this DLL project, this class library project, it does not contain the main function, so it cannot be executed. Like say for example, I close it and I double click on it, I cannot do anything with this DLL file. These are not executable files. Okay, so there are two types of files, exe files and the DLL files. All right, fine. Now similarly goes with the your Selenium as well. Say for example, if you want to add the Selenium DLLs, okay, you want to work with the Selenium, you want to write the WebDriver script. So for that, first of all, we'll have to add the Selenium DLLs, right? So Selenium DLLs, you can just add it from the official website of Selenium. That is, you go to seleniumhq.org website, and then over here also you can see the first line of the what is Selenium. The first line says Selenium automates browser. right? So it says that it is used for automating the web-based applications for the testing process, for the testing purposes. Okay, it is used for automating the web-based applications only. You cannot work with the desktop-based applications if you are using Selenium. You cannot automate desktop-based applications. Fine. Okay. Now I'll go to the download section. Fine. And then if you have to like, you can just download the Selenium version from here, Selenium DLL from here. That is for C Sharp. The current version is 3.7.0. Okay. You just click on this download version and it will be downloaded. The zip file will get downloaded. Okay, and then one more thing, as I told you, the current version is Selenium 3. Like we can see the current version which is in the market is 3 version has come up. Previously Selenium 2 was there. Okay, and then one more thing, among Selenium 2 and Selenium 3, Selenium 2 is Selenium 2 is more stable. I'll tell you that Selenium 2 is more stable and Selenium 3 is not stable. With Selenium 3 we have many bugs. Many bugs are there, are coming up in Selenium 3. That is, some of the concepts are, some of the elements are not working with Selenium 3. Okay, so the most stable version up till now is Selenium 2. And then moreover, if you are working with Selenium 2, then you have to like you have to see the version of the Selenium and the Firefox version as well. Okay, so Firefox, when we will actually see how can we work with the like when we will actually see the Selenium concepts. Okay, when we'll go with our Selenium concepts, when we'll start with the Selenium basics, how to identify the various elements and all everything, then it will clear to you more easily that why Firefox is required and all everything. I will just see. Okay. All right. And then as of now, just consider that Selenium 2 is most stable. Okay. Say for example, I have downloaded my Selenium 3.7. Okay. So it has been downloaded. I'll just, the zip file gets downloaded. I'll extract it. Okay. Here it is. Okay. All right. So it contains these files inside it. Now, if you want to add the Selenium DLLs into your project, the files that you have downloaded, you right click on the references folder, you say add reference, and then you browse to your location where you have downloaded your Selenium DLLs. Okay. So here it is. Okay. I think 3.7 is not is like it has just come up yesterday. 2 days before 3.6 was there, and I think 3.7 has just come up and it is not complete. Okay, we'll just skip with it. We can download the one version before, that is we work with the Selenium 3.6. Okay, then if you want to download the previous version of the Selenium, then for that you can just go to this previous releases link. Okay, and out here you can see all the Selenium versions that are that are actually present, that are actually there. Okay, from Selenium 2.39, all the versions till Selenium 3.7 are here. Okay, say for example you work with the Selenium 3.6, so you can just download the Selenium .NET 3.6 version. It is downloading. Okay, I have it already. I'll show you. I say add reference. I'll just browse to my location. Okay, and over here I have, okay, I have Selenium .NET 3.5 and 3.4 is also there. Okay, let me just add the Selenium 3.5. So these are the DLL files that we will add. We'll add all of them. Okay, you say add and click on OK, and the Selenium DLLs are added. Okay, WebDriver support WebDriver, and 3 Selenium DLLs have been added into your project. Fine. Now say for example, let me add a new class. Okay, and then you can add any number of classes in a single project. You can add any number of projects. Say for example, how you add, you right click on your project, add new item, Okay, and then which type of an item you want to add. You want to add a class, you want to add an interface, okay, you want to add the user control Windows form. So in this new item dialog box, according to your requirement, which type of an item you want to add. Okay, you want to add the configuration file, you want to add the resource file, anything, XML file, any type of file you can just add. So for example, I want to add a class file. Say I added Selenium basics. Okay, and to this, I first of all will add a main function to it. We'll just add the main function to it. Okay, since in the main function only we know that the execution starts. Main function is the main entry point of the execution of your code. Okay, so now I want to work with my Selenium DLLs. Okay, so we have added the references of the Selenium DLLs. So and then there are two ways you can add the reference of the Selenium DLLs. And then first of all, moreover, one main point over here is that Selenium is not installed. People generally go wrong over here that I want to install Selenium in my system. No, it's not like that. It is Selenium is configured. Okay, now to configure Selenium, to configure the WebDriver DLLs into your project, for that we have seen that we go to the official website of Selenium, seleniumhq.org, and from there you can just download the particular version of the Selenium. Okay, so I have it already, and yes, I was telling you the two ways how you can download the Selenium, the configure the Selenium DLLs. So the first way is you right click on the references folder and you go to add reference and browse to your location where you have downloaded the Selenium DLLs. Or else you right click on the references folder, you go to manage Nugget packages, okay, and over here you just search for the WebDriver DLLs, and over here all the DLLs of the WebDriver will come up. Alright, and from here also, according to your requirement, which version you want to add, you can just download that version. Okay, so from here also, from Nugget Package Manager also, you can add the Selenium DLLs into your project. Since I have it already, okay, so I'll just make use of it. Now say for example, now we have added the Selenium DLLs into our project, so now we can start building our we can start building our project, writing our code with the help of the Selenium commands, right? For example, say I want to, I have a class known as Firefox driver class, which will help us work with the Firefox browser. Okay, so for that, what we have to do is first of all we have to create the object of the Firefox driver class. Now Firefox driver class, if I write like this only, then we are getting the error. It says that the name Firefox driver does not exist, right? So for that we have to import the class for it. I say using openqa.selenium.firefox will import the class for it. Okay, so it has been added, and then you create the object, say fd is equal to new Firefox driver. Okay, you create the object of the Firefox driver class. Now if you are working with Selenium 3, Firefox driver is not launched directly by creating the object of the Firefox driver. We have to, like, for the Selenium 3 we have to pass the path of the Gecko driver.txt file. Now the reference of the Gecko driver.txt file is required in order to launch the Firefox browser, right? So I'll just tell you. So for that, we first of all will initialize the Firefox driver service class. Okay, say service is equal to Firefox driver service dot create default service. Okay, and inside this you need to give the path of the Gecko driver.exe file. Now in order to install the Gecko driver.exe file, you can just download it from the official website of Selenium only. You scroll down and under the third party drivers you have Mozilla Gecko driver. Okay, so you can download the Gecko drivers exe file from here, and according to your OS, if you're working with the Linux operating system, then you can download the Gecko driver for the Linux, for the Mac, and for the Windows. And Windows 32 or Windows 64-bit, you can just download the Gecko drivers exe file. I have it already. I'll just show you. Okay, over here is my Gecko driver.exe file. So I'll just take the path. Where is my Gecko driver.exe file? I'll give the path over here, and then you have to give the double slash in your path, or else if you don't want to put the double slash, then you can even add @ symbol as well. Before the path, you can put @ symbol, and it will automatically take the double slashes in your path. Okay, and then we give the name of the file, that is your Gecko driver.exe file. Alright, and to this service object we also set the binary path of the Firefox browser. That is, our Firefox browser is located in Gecko driver. Gecko driver is the exe file for launching the Firefox browser. With Selenium 3, we have to include the reference of this Gecko driver. Okay, it is required in order to launch the Firefox browser. Fine. Okay, so Firefox exe file is located over here. You have your firefox.exe, and I'll just take the path of my Firefox browser. It's located over here, and I put @ symbol. Okay, fine. And then we need to pass this service object. Now say suppose I don't give my Gecko drivers exe file path. I'll say comment this code. I'll comment this 2 lines. Okay. And then now if I run my code. Okay, now if you run your code, you get the exception. There were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? I say no, there are errors. And the error is, it says that the program has more than one entry point defined. Compile with main to specify the type that contains the entry point. Now, what do you mean by this error? The error says that this complete control application project, this complete first stage project, it is containing more than one entry point. Now, more than one entry point, that is your main function. This control application project is containing more than one main function. In the program also we have one main function, and in the Selenium Basics class also we have one main function declared. So in a control application project, you cannot have more than one main function. This is not possible in C# in the control application project. So how to work with that then? So what I have to do is, I'll say comment one main function, which I'm not working with. I'm not working with this program.cs class file as of now. So let me just comment this main function of the program class. Right. So now if I build my solution, the build is succeeded. Now I say start. I say run my code. Okay, it launches the Firefox browser. Now why this is so? It is because I have set the path. I have set the path of this Gecko driver in my environment variable. Now, yes, there are two things. Either you can give the path of the Gecko driver inside this Firefox driver service class, or else you can even set the path of the Gecko driver in the environment variable as well. So there are two ways how you can just add the Gecko driver's path. So how do you add the environment variable? I'll just show you. I'll just right click on my system, PC, properties, advanced system settings, environment variable, and then you edit the path system variable. Under the system variable, you have the path variable. You edit this path variable, and over here I have set the path of my Gecko driver.exe file. Okay, so this is the path of my exe file which I have set in my environment variable. And you can, if you want to add a new variable, since this is my Windows 10, so in the Windows 10, if you want to add a new variable, you click on new and you can add your variable. You can just add the value, the path of any file over from here. Or if you want to say edit any variable, edit any value, I say want to edit my this path, so you select that option and then you say edit, and then you can just edit this particular value. Alright, so I click on OK and OK. Fine. So this is how we launch the Firefox browser. Similarly, if I have to if I have to launch my Chrome browser. So for that, I initialize my Chrome driver class. Okay. Then for the Chrome driver also, it is not present that like you cannot just add. You will have to import the class for the Chrome driver as well. So you either you click on this yellow bulb, this down arrow, and then we say that it says that we have to import the namespace using openqa.selenium.chrome. So namespaces you can say is the collection of the classes. Okay, in this namespace we will have collection of classes. We will add multiple classes in this single namespace first day. In this single namespace first day we have one program class, and similarly we have one Selenium basics class. Alright, so I'll create the object of my Chrome driver as well. New Chrome driver. Okay, fine. And okay, let me just close this. And then you see that it has launched the blank Firefox browser also. Alright, now similarly, say for example, I create the object of my Chrome driver. So let me just comment this Firefox driver line. Okay, and then the shortcut for commenting the code is you hit Control plus K plus C. Okay, I'll just write. You hit Control plus K plus C in order to comment the code. And similarly, if you want to uncomment the code, then you hit Control plus K plus U to uncomment the code. Or else you can even comment the code from this icon as well. Okay, this is for commenting the selected lines, and this is to uncomment the selected lines. Alright, so this is how you can comment. Now say for example I want to launch my Chrome browser. So I create the object of my Chrome browser, and then I say start, and then you see that it launches the blank Chrome browser. Okay, and for the Chrome browser also you have to set the path of the exe file of the Chrome driver. Now since my exe file is located, I'll show you. In the Selenium folder, I have my chromedriver.exe file, which is the same path of the Gecko driver.exe file. And then if you notice that this path I have set in the environment variable. Okay, so that is why I'm not passing the path. I'm not giving the path of my exe file in the constructor of the Chrome driver. If you have not set the path of the exe file in the environment variable, then you will have to give the path of the exe file in the constructor of the Chrome driver. Okay, so Chrome driver's exe file also you can download from the official website of Selenium only. seleniumhq.org website. You go to the download section. Okay, and under the third party drivers we have the Google Chrome driver as well. Okay, and you can download the Chrome driver's exe file for the Windows, Linux or Mac. Windows 32, it will work for Windows 64 and 32 both. Okay, so you can just download the Chrome driver's exe file from here. Fine. So this is how you can launch the Chrome driver. Similarly same goes with the IE browser as well. Say for that I first of all will declare my Internet Explorer driver, and for this also we'll have to import the class for it. Okay, so for that you either click on this yellow bulb, this down arrow, or else you can even hit Control plus dot. You can even press Control plus dot as well, and then also this list comes up. Okay, we add the reference to using openqa.selenium.ie. Okay, and then I create the object of this Internet Explorer driver class as well. And then now if I try to run my code, Edge browser is actually not supported by Selenium. Okay, so we don't work with the Edge browser. Alright, so you see that it has launched the blank IE browser as well. Alright, so this is how we work with the Selenium classes as well. Now these classes, we haven't written the codes to open the respective browser, IE, Chrome or Firefox, anything. But we are just calling these classes, we are just using these classes. Alright, and then everything goes fine, everything is working perfectly fine. Alright, and yes, for the IE browser also you have to set the path. in the environment variable or in the constructor of the IE browser. Alright, so IE browser also you can download from the official website of Selenium only, Internet Explorer driver server. Okay, you can download the exe file from here. Fine. So this is all about Selenium. Okay, and fine. So if we look into our checklist, we have covered all the topics. So tomorrow we'll discuss the basic concepts of the OOPS programming language.